Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another album review. My name is Christian Eschbach. Hey, everyone. Okay, so this review is going to allow me to have a whole lot of fun little side conversation. Let me start with anybody who's one of my regular viewers, you know how I feel about what I like to call Pop Tarts. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Jessica Simpson, Mandy Moore, Tiffany, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper. Now, a couple of those, I don't think of them as tarts. Cyndi Lauper is not a tart, but I call them Pop Tarts, okay? And in the case of Jessica Simpson, it still applies when you look at the way she was scantily clad in some of her videos, no matter how wholesome of a girl she may be. But that is not the conversation I want to have here, technically related to that, sort of related to that, though, because Pop-Tarts are usually one of those things I almost exclusively consider either British or American. You get maybe the odd Canadian one in there. But I get to talk about a Finnish Pop-Tart, and it's a male. Okay. Now, one of the other things I would call Pop-Tarts would be any of the people that won on The Idols. Kelly Clarkson, Pop-Tart. Not as much now, but definitely in the early days. Okay, the reason why I say this is Finnish Idol winner of 2007. Now, there's right there, that tells you a huge difference between American Idol and Finnish Idol. I know there was a Canadian Idol in there, but we're going to ignore Canadian Idol because Canadian Idol was like American Idol, but worse. You go to a Finnish Idol, you get metal artists out of the deal, like power metal artists out of the deal, you know, so no complaints about that. That is awesome. Great difference between the two. Best you got out of American Idol was, you know, a couple really good kind of country-esque folks, but, you know. Okay, so the other reason why I say Pop-Tart is one of the other common factors amongst what I usually classify as Pop-Tarts. Once again, doesn't apply to all because, you know, Madonna does write her own stuff. But most people that I put under that category don't write their own stuff. Ari Koivenun, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, not a single writing credit on this album. This is all stuff written for him by some of the best names in European power metal, operatic metal, you know, symphonic metal, stuff like that. You know, we've got Timo Tolkki. I'm going to pronounce every one of these names wrong, I'm sorry. And I'm reading this off of Wiki. So, because I had to research on this one. This was my wife Tracy's CD out of her collection. She stumbled across Ari going down the rabbit hole, stumbling across Finnish Idol. Okay, so we got Timo Tolkki from Stradivarius and Revolution Renaissance. I know Stradivarius. Marco Hitala from Nightwish, Tarot and Northern Kings. I know Nightwish. Jan Yosemite. God, I hope I got even remotely close on that one. Suburban Tribe. Tony Kako from Sonata Arctica. I've covered Sonata albums. I don't know if I've done any from Stradivarius yet, and I may have done Nightwish. I don't remember now. So Tony Kako, from Sonata Arctica and Northern Kings. Jarkko Ahola from Terabestoni. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Teres Betoni and Northern Kings. Alright. So right away I'm gonna say this flat out. My favorite song on here was written by the Tony Kako from Sonata Arctica. And we're going to get into this. So really quickly, now every song on this album is basically power metal, symphonic metal, blah, 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 blah. You know, if you're into that European metal kind of thing, that is almost this entire album. and it's all really well written. It's all really well done. No complaints about it musically, no complaints about it vocally. The vocals I have some discussion about. Uh, the thing is if you're one of my regular viewers, you know how I feel about power metal. It all starts to sound the same to me after like 3 songs. The nice part about this album is this album does have some nice fluctuation to it, which I'm going to get into, but it doesn't get into the fluctuation kind of until the back half of the album. So the album opens up with God of War, great way to open up the album. It's got power, it's got everything you want. Boom, you're going, okay. Hear My Call, fine while the album's playing, whatever. The title track, Fuel for the Fire, same thing. It's great while the album's playing. I don't think about it otherwise. Don't Try to Break Me. This one is the first song on the album that kind of makes me perk up a little bit because it's different. This one very much sounds like 80s metal, like True Blue. When Tracy and I were listening to the album, I said the Shocker soundtrack. That song, Don't Try and Break Me, would sound perfectly at home on the Shocker soundtrack, which I covered. Total True Blue, like everything about 80s metal that was both perfect and wrong all together at the same time. And that's what makes a great 80s metal song, is it has to be perfect and wrong all at the same time. Like it's got to be so perfect it's wrong and so wrong it's perfect. And Don't Try and Break Me is everything perfectly wrong about the 80s that makes it perfect. It's got those high soaring vocals. It's got those fast blister riffs. It sounds like something right off of the Hollywood strip, man. Like everything about it. It's beautiful. Angels Are Calling I enjoy. And I think one of the reasons I like Angels Are Calling so much is because of the flow right after Don't Try and Break Me. It brings the pace down beautifully, does it in a very tasteful way. It works really nicely. I Fly. I don't mind I Fly. I really kind of dig on this one a little bit. But only when the album's playing. I don't think of it when the album's not playing. And the same with the next song, Our Beast. I really, really dig on this one. And it really has this great kind of... This one has more of a 90s metal kind of vibe and flavor to it. That darker edge to it. Not that grunge edge, just that darker edge. Kind of more... Maybe a little more Danzig-y, we'll say. But without that Danzig sound. Like, it's still power metal, but it's got that dark edge like you'd find in a Danzig kind of song. Then you get to my favorite song on this album, which is Losing My Insanity. Interestingly enough, written by the guy from Sonata Arctica, which, I really do enjoy some Sonata Arctica stuff. Other stuff, not so much. But this one, Losing My Insanity, really worked for me. I really enjoyed that on here. Stay True is a good tune again. That one's another one that felt like we were going kind of back into that 80s metal pocket, just like in that perfect little zone. Stormwind was decent, and Heart Stealer finishes off what is in the standard edition. This is not the standard edition. Now, there is a difference between this version and the standard edition that's on here. On here, it lists bonus track as track 12. Not as actual track 12, but like they list tracks 1 through 11. Then they put a bonus track of track 12 on the first disc. On Wiki, it looks like it's on the second disc because this is a 2-disc set. And the other 2 bonus tracks are on the second disc. So I'm not sure why that is on Wiki. I'm not sure if that's something maybe different between the different... Maybe there was 2 different standard versions. I'm not sure. And when I look and see that there was a Japanese and a double platinum edition, there was definitely a little more stuff. But not anything impressively a little more stuff. Okay, so the reason why I got into all this bonus stuff is the bonus track on disc 1, so track 12, is Hetkileo. Leo, Leo, Hetkaleo. So I know when I hear it, I can say it. When I'm saying it along with it, I can do it. When I'm not hearing it, I can't do it properly. Finnish lyric song. Really, really enjoy this song. I actually went and checked out the original version on YouTube. And the original pop version is quite enjoyable and fun as well. And, if I had a tongue for the language and I could, enunciate the words without sounding like, complete broken, English translation, it would be a great song to do. It's a really fun song. And the rendition on here that is really, really enjoyable as well. So, Hechelio, like I said, that finishes off the first disc on this set. I think it finishes off the first disc as the perfect bonus track. Sometimes I like when a bonus track is on there because it really does set the album off really nicely, like it does on here. Sometimes the bonus tracks are better off on extra discs. And that brings me to the second disc on here. Now, here's another one that's weird on here, going back to the wiki. The wiki page has the tracks reversed on here. There is 2 tracks. There is On Top of the World, which is on here listed as a radio edit, and then Piano Man. I'm purposely saying those backwards because on the CD, that's how they are. It's On Top of the World and then Piano Man. On Wiki, they've got it as Piano Man and then On Top of the World. On Top of the World, it was an alright song. It didn't do anything for me, honestly, Piano Man. This one surprised me because when I saw this was on here, I kind of went, wait, is it really? No, it can't be. And then it plays on the stereo, and I'm like, oh. Now, this is where I'm going to get into Ari's voice, okay? I'm not a huge fan of Ari's voice on most of the songs. There are times where I don't mind, like Losing My Insanity, I like his voice. There's a few where his voice really suits it. And this is where it's going to sound really weird, because this is actually why me and Tracy were actually talking about this album. Like, me and her talk about albums all the time, but this one I actually had to talk to her about, because I wasn't sure if Ari was a guy or a girl. I'm assuming that Ari, at the time of this recording, was still rather youngish. Yeah, from what I can see here, Ari would have been about 23 at the time of this recording. So, and a lot of, these type of bands always have higher vocals. But with the intonations and tone in Ari's voice, I wasn't sure if Ari was singing like an 80s glam pretty boy, or if Ari was a girl singing in the vein of Joan Jett and Liz Hale, with this more of the range of Liz Hale, not necessarily Joan Jett, but that kind of gruffness in the voice. And if that had been the case, if it had been Ari had been a girl with that gruffness in the voice, it would have been really cool for me, and I would have been like, yeah, all right, it's cool to hear a woman sing that way. Instead, it's a guy sounding like an 80s glam pretty boy, which I'm not a big fan of Rat. I'm not a big fan of Poison. I'm not a big fan of, I do like Motley to a degree, but really when it comes to Motley, it's mostly like the best of or the first album and the Dr. Feelgood album. Stuff like that. Pardon me. But nothing against Ari either. Ari, fantastic. I love Ari's look. I have a jacket actually that's kind of similar-esque to this. Really good look, everything like that. Just not my sound for vocals. And the worst part is with the pictures. I show the one picture. This one, more masculine. This one, more nondescript, So I just wasn't sure. And no judgment one way or the other. I just, it's the way the voice worked for me. Now, going back to the two songs which I didn't get into, I was talking about and I trailed off there. Piano Man. I really like the way the music was done on this. It is Billy Joel's Piano Man without a doubt. But the flourishes, the nuances, the little things that let you know that it's a musician playing their rendition of it, not playing a direct cover of it. It is fantastic. I really dig it. It's Ari's voice that actually turns me off on that one. I wish that Ari had sung it a little bit deeper than he did. But even there are parts even where he does kind of go lower and go deeper, and his voice just doesn't sound right to it. Like there's just a natural high intonation to it that sounds out of place, and it doesn't quite work. But I appreciate it all the same. Um, Now, I know it sounds like I've spent a lot of time ripping on this and a lot of time kind of shooting it down and not playing it up enough. I'm going to tell you right now, it's always the big question at the end. Would I recommend this album? Yeah, actually, I would recommend this album. I actually, as much as I'm not a power metal fan, as much as I kind of rip on all that stuff and that, and as much as I'm not a fan of Ari's voice, there is something honestly really special and cool about this album. It's not the type of album I would go out of my way to listen to on a regular basis, but it is the type of album that, every once in a while I'm definitely going to want to go grab, throw in the CD player, crank it up, and let it go a little bit. I'm not going to necessarily leave it in the CD player for like a week like I did while I was, getting used to the album and listening to it. But still, good album. Worth checking out. I really do think it. I don't know if I'd pay brand new prices for it, but if you can find it used for a good price, go for it. If you can find it new for a good price, $15 or less, it's worth checking out, I think, for $15 or less. Especially if, you want to explore Finnish idol Pop-Tarts. Man, the Finnish know how to do Pop-Tarts right. Okay, folks, I'm going to leave that on that one. Let me know what you think. Can the Finnish do Pop-Tarts right? Let me know down below. While you're on your way down there, you're going to see a couple links as well. Also, hit the like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications. Peace, love, take care.